What's up, everybody? This is Tiana from Straight from the Crates, and today I want to continue a conversation about why Black children are being taught to hate themselves and how or what we can do to combat this thinking and um, programming. So, we're just going to jump right into it. So, lots of people I feel like are pretending like they don't see this. And Black children are being taught to hate themselves. And some of y'all are still calling it progress. I'm not talking about obvious racism. I'm talking about what happens after that when it becomes internal. When a Black child looks in the mirror and starts thinking they need to change who they are to be accepted, wanting to be white, changing how they talk, changing how they dress, shrinking themselves in rooms just to feel safe. And what really bothers me is watching Black kids in classrooms or in outside activities while white kids disrespect them, make slick comments, cross lines and boundaries. And instead of those little Black kids checking these people, they laugh and they go along with it and they try to blend in. And that's not confidence. These children are in complete survival mode. This is conditioning. And I'm not speaking from a theory or a bunch of research. I've actually lived this myself. I've seen it in my own family. I've seen it in my own neighborhood. I grew up in a suburban, mostly white area. So that's just a little bit about me. But I want to continue with what we're talking about. I remember being in spaces where you could feel the pressure, the unspoken rule of don't be too Black, don't talk too loud, don't wear your hair like that, don't react when something disrespectful is said. And because it makes you feel like you're the problem, and it also causes confusion. And what do kids do? They adapt. They laugh at things that hurt them. They silence themselves. They start performing. And then when we're able to do this successfully, we actually call it success. We'll say things like, they're doing so well in those schools. They fit in. But at what cost? And it's just like, I don't like to start from a middle point. So I want to talk about integration because we were sold a very, very clean version of it, especially people like me, millennials. And it was, this is the solution. Sit next to them, learn with them, live near them, and everything will be fine. You'll be equal. But nobody prepared us for the worst part. You can be in those same rooms and still not be treated the same or seen the same. You can follow every rule and still be treated like you don't belong. And that causes confusion. It causes contradiction, and that messes with the child's mind because now they're asking questions. If I did everything right, why do I still feel wrong? And this is where people start to separate. Some kids can experience these things and they start questioning, like, this is not right, this isn't correct. And other kids, they go the opposite way. It's like they're asking themselves or questioning what they're seeing. And they go deeper, and some people just go deeper into the assimilation, and they believe, like, if I just try harder, if I just blend in more, I'll be accepted. But the truth that nobody wants to say out loud is assimilation does not protect you. Black people in particular are not able to assimilate at all. So I don't even know why this is still a thing. You can speak perfectly. You can dress perfectly. You can achieve anything and everything they told you to achieve. And at the end of the day, you're still going to be disrespected. You're still going to be profiled. You're still going to be targeted. You're still going to be put in situations that remind you exactly how you're seen. And it's quite dangerous. And I don't understand why children are still going about having to live these experiences and not being protected. And as I stated before, I've seen people who I grew up with go both different ways. Like some of us learned ourselves how to unlearn the lies, or some of us had family members who were active and taught us about our history and taught us about our identity. Others had to rebuild their identity. And for some, they fully bought into the idea that proximity to whiteness equals safety. And that belief cost them. It cost them mentally, emotionally, and sometimes in ways they couldn't come back from. And then, besides integration, there's a thing called the media. And the media is one of our biggest teachers of the children, from cartoons to the movies to social media. Everything that they're seeing, you have to question, or they're questioning, who is it centered? Who is it praising? Who's desirable? And then look at how our blackness is shown. Oftentimes it's limited, it's stereotyped, or erased completely. So what happens when a child starts comparing, like, why don't I look like that? Why am I treated differently? And eventually, maybe something's wrong with me. And that's how self hate is created. None of this takes place overnight. It all happens over time, through repetition, through messaging, through experience. And that's what whitewashing really does. It doesn't just erase your culture, it replaces identity. It teaches you to admire what disrespects you and rejects you. And I also feel like maybe I don't have the right to talk about this because I'm not in everybody's household and I'm not everyone's parent, but I do feel like it's important. And then there's also another aspect to this, and it's the black excellence. And that's something that I believed in for a long time, but I think we were given like a narrow version of that as well. Like we were taught that excellent means succeeding in their system, getting their validation, being accepted into their spaces. But what if real excellence is knowing who you are, loving yourself without permission, building your own spaces, protecting your identity? And I can't say all of this stuff without asking, like, what can we do? Or how do we fix this? Because we just can't sit in the problem. So for me, I think it just starts at home, and we have to teach our children who they are early, not just the struggle part. Now, we weren't just slaves, but the actual history, the actual culture, the actual strength of our people. And we need spaces where black children are not the exception, but the norm, where they don't have to perform to belong. And I also think we need to be honest, and we have to stop pretending every environment is safe. And I want to reiterate, every environment is not safe. It's not. And this is not about hate. I'm not making this video about hate. It's only about awareness and about protection, because no child should grow up feeling like they have to erase themselves just to be accepted. And no child, to me, should feel like who they are is something that they need to fix. And I feel like until we tell the truth about that, nothing's going to change. And I also wanted to, touch on what happens when these people grow up and how do we actually commune with them. And I asked myself, I'm like, Candace Owens, Omarosa, Snoop Dogg now, Salt and Pepper, TLC, Chili from TLC. Like, do we excommunicate the people or isolate them? And I guess I would say no, because isolating makes the problem worse. Because I think, well, I don't think what I have been describing isn't just a choice that they've made. It's something that they were conditioned into as children. When growing up in environments where they had to shrink themselves, they had to code switch constantly, tolerate disrespect to survive, they just don't snap out of it as adults. I, it turns into identity confusion, internalized biases, survival habits that don't turn off. So when they grow up, they're not just dealing with behavior, you're dealing with programming. And if you cut them off or push them out completely, you reinforce the belief that they don't belong anywhere. You push them deeper into the same spaces that shape them. You remove any chance of growth or reflection or reconnection. And it can actually lock them further into this delusion of assimilation and not fix anything. And this is where, in my opinion, nuance matters. There's a difference between understanding someone's conditioning and allowing behavior, harmful behavior, to continue unchecked. So, if you run into a black person that's disrespecting black people or repeats harmful narratives or looks down on their own community, that has to be challenged at every turn, never ignored and not excused. I like to think of it as we have to go or come to these people in layers. Like, we have to call it out clearly, not attacking them, but not sugarcoating anything either. And you say something like, that's not self love. That's not something you're taught. And that's not serving you. Like, try to say positive things to reinforce, like, you are wrong and you need to love yourself. And also, not also being able to separate the person from the conditioning. It's like we're not throwing the whole person away. We're just saying your behavior is not cool, but also you are not beyond growth. So I believe we should always offer a way back in if they're willing. If they choose to isolate themselves, that's something totally different. And some people will wake up, but only if they're exposed to different perspectives and feel safe enough to question themselves. And that's where, community, education, and honest conversations like the ones that we're having actually matters. And we have to set boundaries. And we also have to understand everybody's not ready. And you don't have to be. And we also don't have to argue endlessly. We don't have to keep having these conversations. We don't have to tolerate disrespect, and we don't have to carry an emotional burden. So, distance can be protective, not punitive. Some people will grow out of it, some won't. And you can't force that process. But if the goal is to protect the next generation, then completely cutting people off does not build anything. It just fractures things further. So, this is another one from straight from the crates. And sometimes the realest truths are the ones that people are uncomfortable to say out loud. Drop down in the comments and talk to me about this. Also, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.